Yes, there's a live studio audience of stuffed animals for this one today. Hey, outside world. Slightly pink TM Thomas here. Not pink because we're talking women's soccer, that would be sexist. Pink because of a terrible genetic heritage, bad lighting, and it's really stuffy in here with the fan off. And the stuffed animals are really creeping me out as I see them watching me. So, anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about today, Hope Solo. A few months back, I made a video. Dear Hope Solo. Basics of that was get some help. You're a train wreck. This week, U.S. Soccer issued a 6-month suspension. What does this mean? It means Hope Solo is not eligible for U.S. national team activity for 6 months until sometime in February. It means she can't be called up, she can't be put in camps, put on teams for friendlies. This was a move that was criticized because although she was showing pretty poor sportsmanship in sportswomanship, though she was a very poor sport about the Sweden loss, people are saying this is not the worst thing she's done. Why suspend over something she said when there's domestic violence and drunk driving and all these other issues? The cynics say because World Cup and the Olympics are now over and they don't need her anymore. I'm not saying I endorse that philosophy or that explanation, but it does make a lot of sense. There's some criticism over the suspension as well because there's the whole issue of she's not the first nor probably the last sports person after a rough game to say something impolitic. Most famous that comes to mind for me, because I hate the man with a passion, was Michael Bradley after his team's loss in the Copa, saying he wasn't going to play in the next round. He was not suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct. He didn't say it about the other team. He just said he was taking his ball and going home, and he'd be back when his dad was coach again. But there you have it. So is it because Hope's female? Is it because Hope has a history of things? I don't know. The women's team is marketed very differently. They're marketed on their personalities. They're a lot marketed on being sunny, happy, happy-go-lucky, hard competitors, but cute little soccer women, which devalues them as players, but at the same time, it's been a marketing bonanza, and it's probably not going to stop. And some people would say bonanza, but I never know what's going to come out of my mouth next. Is it more that Hope was detrimental to her team for her comments, or more that she violated what U.S. Soccer wants their women's players to be? I can't say. I have opinions. Check my Twitter. You'll see opinions. But anyway, U.S. Soccer also terminated Hope Solo's contract with the national team, with U.S. Soccer. This is slightly more confusing development, in part because the national team players who play in NWSL have complicated contractual arrangement. They aren't contracted with their teams, but with U.S. Soccer, who employs them and then assigns them to a team. For the Seattle Reign, it's pretty clear that what the contract says, she keeps getting paid by U.S. Soccer for her NWSL duties. Her national team contract, she gets 3 months severance, and then after that, she's done with them. So she does take a hit in her income over this next 6 months, or for the duration of the Pro League, provided she shows back up and plays, because so far only Ali Krieger has shown back up after the Olympics. I don't know if the rest of them are stuck with the Kenyan team in Rio or what's going on. But what's this mean? I don't know. Is it a shot across the bow to Hope Solo personally that shape up or we will drop you? Is it they've had enough shots across the bow that they're dumping her? That's hard to say, and I'll delve briefly into the lawyerly part of it to say, although the contracts and the memorandum of understanding are out there as part of the previous lawsuit over whether there was a collective bargaining agreement, a lot of internal personnel matters are generally confidential and aren't out there, aren't disclosed, aren't discoverable unless they're brought up in a lawsuit or leaked by a party or divulged. So the reason I'm saying that is Hope Solo could have had last chance agreements that say you've screwed up X times, we will terminate you if you show up in the headlines again if you make us look bad. There could have been something like that. And it wouldn't have mattered what she'd done. The fact she created controversy, they said, we're out. There's a lot of people out there right now talking about this, giving cogent analysis, giving thoughts about what it means for rosters, what it means for players, what it means legally, in case she wants to bring something. I will say briefly on that, it's not a First Amendment issue. This isn't government making a law, regulation, rule that silences someone's right to speak. It's someone said something stupid and the employer took offense. That's freedom of speech. You have the freedom to say what's on your mind, but you don't have freedom from the consequences. In this case, the consequences seem unduly severe, but that's usually labor law issues about whether the employer has the right to be that severe, and generally, yeah, they do. Kind of the bigger picture unanswerable questions going along with if there's a sexist issue here and how her treatment may have been differential from other players. Bedoya, Bradley. There's the issue of the bargaining table. Hope Solo was a major player in the equal opportunity claim and the equal pay. If they're removing her from the national team, removing her from the national team union, removing her from the bargaining table, does that change things? And there is a specter there of a retaliatory action by the employer, that this wasn't necessarily because she was offensive yet again. Without her at the table, who's one of the more senior players, who's one of the more aggressive personalities, it may make it easier for the Federation to achieve a better result from their point of view by having younger, less aggressive, less experienced women negotiating, or their representatives. You know how it works. Or if you don't, pretend you do. Anyway, I had to move because first I recorded 3 more minutes than you saw without realizing my iPad had run out of space. And then the neighbors have all decided to mow their lawns, which not only guilts me that I should be mowing mine, but it makes it hard for me to be heard. Apart from removing her from the bargaining table, which there's at least the basis of a retaliation claim there. Whether or not it can be proven, I can't say. The other big impact this is going to have for Hope, as I see it, is it's going to impact her with Seattle or NWSL or any other club. She's a Washington person. She's a Seattle resident. She and her husband live there. They own their home, etc. She's not going to want to move. After this contract cycle, after this season, when she's no longer an allocated U.S. national women's team player and then is basically a free agent like anyone else who has to sign with a team, they're in a very good bargaining position because it's going to be more costly for her to walk away from Seattle where she wants to be. So that's going to have an impact on her. And once she gets that first low ball from Seattle, that impacts what anyone else in the U.S. or abroad probably sees her value as and are willing to pay. So that may be the biggest blow for Hope Solo, because we already know endorsements have taken a hit, but anyone who still has her signed is not going to be bothered by this. They've been through worse. Should she continue to play in the professional league, it changes her market value, possibly for the worse for her. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Check Twitter. There's some great feedback, some great discussions. Get involved, because women's soccer doesn't just need people that show up with their number 13 jerseys. They need people that care about the whole sport, what's going on with the players, and the behind the scenes issues. So thanks for your time.